Hello, friends. Welcome to the MommunityPodcast. I'm Diane Tarantini coming to you from West Virginia with my lovely co host and good friend and partner in child safety issues, Kimberly King. Where are
Hello,
you coming from?
everybody.
Where
Hi.
you live?
I am in Connecticut and
Yeah.
waiting for summer. It's
Yeah.
coming.
So I have to tell you that the child safety world is a buzz, especially among survivors and clinicians that work with the survivors of sibling sexual abuse. Because a big, big media event just happened in the last week that involved sibling sexual abuse. And Kimberly, you want to kind of set up what that was?
Yeah, so I've been watching this show along with millions of other people, White Lotus, and it's a little risque. There's sexual content it's about murder and sex
Yeah.
and drugs and all of that. But this episode I made a post about it because it was so triggering to me as a survivor of sexual assault. There were scenes in it that involved these two siblings having, I guess you would call it drugged, drunk sibling sexual abuse. And there were also flashbacks involved in the show that were very triggering to me. So I wanted to just say so, and I messaged Diane right away because I wanted to know like what she thought of it. It was triggering to me, and I am not a victim survivor of sibling sexual abuse, but I thought it could certainly really upset most people. So yeah, I called Diane, and that's why we're talking today, because we want to talk about it just from a point of survivors, and maybe you shouldn't watch it if
Right.
you're a survivor.
Yeah, the first thing I did Monday morning was I'm a member of some survivor pages. I put up an announcement that if you watch White Lotus, if you are a survivor specifically of sibling sexual abuse or trauma, um, consider not watching White Lotus because they went for it.
They did.
And yeah, this major thread ensued. And then I also posted it over on LinkedIn because there's a lot of clinicians over there and probably um, survivors as well. But
Yeah.
it's interesting, you straight up called it sibling sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the media that has come out as a result, and it's coming out, has called it sibling sexual behavior. Um, and would you guess that the younger brother is a minor or is over the age of 18?
That's why I called it abuse, was because I feel like since he's in high school, he's got to be under 18.
Okay. Yes, I thought he was like had graduated high school and was looking at colleges. But you're right. You start looking at colleges like your sophomore and junior year.
Right.
So this
So
is abuse. This is an abuse because that's or sexual abuse is with an individual under 18. Sexual assault is with individuals over 18, correct?
yeah, I think that's how we define it. And
Yeah.
the age difference. So like it I guess it depends on exactly what their ages are, but he seems to be under 18 and the older brother seems to be like well over 18. So, and then there's
Yes.
the concept of and this is a spoiler alert if you haven't,
Yes, totally,
but
100%.
like both of these young men are drinking, and then they also take some undisclosed drug, which sort of distorts their reality. So, I mean, if you wanted to debate about like whose fault it was or whose idea it was or like how did it happen, it would be really hard to figure out because they were both like completely drugged on whatever
Yeah.
it was that they were
Yes.
drugged on. But the lead up to it also bothered me because the older brother was kind of
Yes.
a bully, kind of mean, kind of pushy, cocky guy, and just not really nice to his siblings. And
He
then,
was very much trying to sexualize him. Wouldn't you agree?
yeah, remember he was
Just
like,
shoving it at him.
oh yeah, trying to
Yeah,
get
we're going to
him.
bulk you up and we're going to hook you up.
Oh yeah, and he was going to
And
lose his virginity, like on the
yes.
trip because, like, he was like, well, you're in Thailand or wherever they're at. Are they in the
Yep,
Phil? I don't
that's
even
it.
know what.
Thailand.
Yeah, so it was just really yucky. I felt yucky about it, and also the scene where like the two girls are sort of like trying to get them to kiss. That was like early on, And
Yeah,
that
I forgot about that.
I was like, where is this going? I do not like this at all, you know?
Yes, I grabbed my husband's leg and I said, "Dude, they're going there. They are
I couldn't
going
believe it.
there." Now, it's so interesting because on some of the conversations I've had with survivors or people that work with them, there was a question like, "Was there a trigger warning? Was there a hotline number?" And
Hmm.
I said, "No, there wasn't either." But someone literally, and we can post this in our comments, said that trigger warnings can be counterproductive. Have you ever heard that?
I have heard that, but that a
For
trigger
what?
warning
Do you
can
know what the
trigger.
reasoning is?
I don't. I think at a conference though, someone said something about just even trigger warnings being a trigger to the person. Like, so I don't know. I do remember seeing though at the beginning of the episode, like something like explicit sexual contact or whatever, but it
Oh,
didn't say sibling
okay.
anything, but it did
Holy
have.
cow. I didn't even notice that. I'm going to go
I
back and look.
I noticed that, like, and they seem to put that at the beginning of every White Lotus episode.
Oh,
And it's not a show for children, okay? It's
yes.
definitely an interesting show, but I also think the way that it was filmed was also triggering. They like zoom in on things and things look distorted and like you get the feeling that you're almost drunk when you're watching it because you're like coming in and out and the music
Yeah.
creepy
It's,
and
we talked about how complicated and layered it is. The one thing that I would love to hear your opinion on it. The, to my mind, the younger brother initiated contact, not the older. Did you get that same vibe?
yes, because I believe that the younger brother was watching the older brother masturbate to pornography. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah, that was an early on
That was a little,
sexualization scene. Yep.
yeah. So like maybe he's curious about his own sexuality. I don't know. The whole thing though has made me just so yucked out about the show that I'm not going to watch it next week. And you said,
Now pause. Yes.
yes.
Um, so I think I got to a ton of people. No one has watched this that I know of except you and my daughter.
Oh my gosh.
And then I go one step further. My husband and I watched, oh my goodness, the preview for next week.
Okay.
And the boy, the actor who plays the younger brother, Lachlan, says something to the effect of um, Lachlan is feeling rejected and pushed away by his
Okay.
older brother who he adores.
Okay.
And so he's going to swing towards the other sibling.
Ah.
Um, so you and I know that girl sibling and Lachlan are at a sleepover at a Buddhist monastery.
God almighty.
And however, I believe, I feel, I hope
I hope.
that there's a possibility of redemption.
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping Sister Piper is going to say, like, shut the whole thing down, or that in a tender moment, Lachlan will disclose to her and she'll say, "Oh my gosh, this is not okay. Let's get you help."
Yeah.
But it's Hollywood, so do you think it's going to happen? Do
I
you think
I
they're going to do the right thing?
no, I doubt it because the whole show has been filled about not doing the right thing. But that would be great if that happened because then it would lead to more discussions about like sibling sexual abuse and get people more resources
Yeah.
and bring it to the front and center because we all know it's very common and nobody wants to talk about it. So on the positive side, you know, we people are talking about it. On the negative
Yes.
side, I just wish they would have put like a warning, like
Yeah.
just some warning if
Or
you're a
this is why we
survivor.
did it. We know that this is
Yeah.
happening and we want to highlight it. And um, do you remember in one of the breadcrumbs, the boys were looking at their sister, and older brother said, "Look at our sister. Isn't she hot?"
Yeah, I do remember
I
that.
bet she's never had sex before. Of course she's still a virgin.
Yeah, I
And
remember that
then for
discussion
some
too.
bizarre reason, like Lachlan repeats those talking points to his sister, and she is not
Pissed.
having it.
No, and she put a firm
And that makes
boundary
me
down.
think she might smack somebody down this coming week.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's interesting about the show is you have no idea where it's going ever. So who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised. But it is really an eye-opening kind of icky, icky topic to watch without knowing it's actually, why would anybody want to watch it is the other thing. Like it
Oh, Kimberly.
from my perspective, from my perspective,
Kimberly, I can tell you why. I
tell
can
me.
tell you why, darling.
I mean,
Um,
I know, but
on Pornhub, sibling sex is one of the most searched themes
I know. So gross. It's
because it's like an addiction.
yeah,
Um, you need a higher level of the drug, the gamble, the pornographic risk,
yeah.
or the relational risk to get you off,
Yeah. And
to be
like we know
specific.
that the pornography can, and I think it's been proven, leads to the
Oh,
next
yeah.
step. After they can't get any more, you know, from that, then they move on to people and online abuse and in-person abuse and sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
my daughter pointed this out, and I knew this, and I think you may or may not know this. Porn usage, porn consumption is linked to erectile dysfunction in young men. I think it's 40%
yeah.
of men who watch it a lot cannot perform sexually
Yeah.
without help. So that like defeats, like, to my mind, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
But the upside, there is a podcaster who Nancy Morris has Siblings 2 podcast, and she spoke and she said, as icky as it is, this is an opportunity
Yeah.
for people who work in the field of incest or sibling sexual abuse, interfamilial sexual abuse, to have a conversation about those issues, and as well as how the media is portraying them.
Yeah.
And the media is portraying them. And we can link to this. So Time Magazine
Yeah.
wrote an article that you read. Did
I
you,
read it.
as a child safety professional who's been in the industry for years, did you think they did a good job?
I think they did a good job explaining what exactly sibling sexual abuse is, and there was good information, but it wasn't specifically like to warn people about the show if you were a survivor and maybe you didn't want to see it. It was more just like informational about the
Yeah.
topic, which is good. Like, I'm
Yeah.
glad people are talking about it, and they should be because, you know, this type of thing can be prevented. But there is no reason for anybody to really go watch that show if they are a survivor and they don't want to
Right.
see that. And that's,
Right.
I think, like they've done a disservice to survivors because, like, I don't want to, I do not want to see that. But then there it is, and you've seen it.
Yeah.
You can't
Yes.
unsee it. And
There's something that you mentioned. I can't remember if it was in this a conversation that we had today, recording earlier. Um, you had flashbacks to a negative sexual experience.
yeah,
Am I right?
yeah. So that show
Um,
literally triggered me to go
yes.
back to my flashbacks
I
because,
don't know your circumstance, but I am pretty sure I was roofied in college. So when you see that camera manipulation, the
yeah,
Vaseline on the lens to make it cloudy and wonky, I was
yeah.
like,
Yep,
that 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 could trigger someone even who was like who didn't have intrafamilial, so,
right.
or yeah, just that roofie experience. That is there another name for that? Roofies,
Yeah, like
rookies,
it's like your
the Bill
drug,
Cosby drug. Yeah.
everything is distorted, and that's exactly what happened to me when I was watching that,
Okay.
when I was watching the show, and it just took me right back because that something happened to me in college, and
Yeah.
I was drugged, and so the memories are very vague, but they're just like that, you know, like
Yeah, you
fuzzy.
never know what's going to trigger you.
Oh, it
Like
was
if you
really,
are, if you've got stuff like this in your past, you don't know if it'll trigger you. And
yeah,
just even having the conversation, some people just, it just stirs up your gut,
yeah,
and you're like, I thought I dealt with my stuff, but here it is again. Here it
Yeah,
is again. So
here it is
definitely,
again.
I think they're using a an I don't mean to kink shame, but do you know anyone who thinks sibling sexual behavior is okay?
I
I
don't.
don't, I
No,
don't, I'm a
I really
survivor. I
don't.
do not.
I do not.
Um,
And I don't
but
think you can
maybe you
even
can
call it.
separate that in your viewing brain. Like, it's actors. Come on, get over
Yeah,
it.
it's
We're
actors,
just
and
pretending here.
it's not
So
kink
maybe some
shaming.
people can get past it. But if you have any level of sexual trauma, this might be a problem.
Yeah. And I also was thinking about the female role who took the virginity of the 17-year-old. I mean, she was over 25. She might have been 30.
Oh, yeah, right.
She's the one who gave him the drugs. She's the one who,
Yes.
I mean, so there's that too. It's not just the
That's such a good
siblings.
point.
There's this female person who, who is probably shouldn't be drugging a 17-year-old and taking his virginity. There's that too, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I don't know how
Um,
old he is though. So that would be rape,
I
right?
don't think he's 18. Now, the more
Yeah.
I think about, my daughter said, I wealthy people often are pointing their kids towards good schools way sooner than 18 years old. It's not that he didn't, they never talked about graduation. He was
Yeah.
still making the decision between, what was it, Duke and UNC Chapel Hill, I think,
Yeah.
Tar Heels. There was another thing. Like, I appreciated the character development of the older brother who, fun fact, is a Schwarzenegger. I'm assuming it's Arnold's son.
Fun fact.
Um, did you see his personality change post sexual experience?
Yeah, and
Talk about that.
I thought so he was having flashbacks as well. Like he didn't really remember what happened. And the way that they set it up, like at first, I think he thought like they were just in the same bed and that's all that happened.
And he was self pleasuring. That's what I
Right.
thought happened.
That's what I thought happened too.
I was like, that works. Okay, that
yeah, I'm like,
works.
okay, if that's what's gonna happen, and that was that, okay, I can get past that. But then when you found out what really happened, it's like,
Yeah,
so the 17-year-old took advantage of the older kid. It's so confusing. So like,
it really is.
they should really
And
have
then
like,
the
yeah.
poolside scene
Oh,
where
I
the
know.
two women
Oh yeah,
um
called him soul.
literally say that I could not, there are not enough drugs in the world for me to do my sibling. And then it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Here
and she
you have the
called him.
brother who vomited. He's
Yeah,
so disturbed
he's so disturbed.
by what happened under the influence.
Yeah.
And then they come at him with the finger of shame,
Yeah. And they called
which,
him soulless.
fart.
Remember that?
Soulless? Oh,
They
yes.
said I think he said to the one of the, I can't remember her name either. The other girl, like, well, why didn't you sleep with me? And she's like, well, I'm not going to give my energy or power to somebody
Yes,
that's soulless like
that's
you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, fun fact, um, the woman with the British woman,
She was in sex ed.
she was a lead in sex
Yeah.
education. Yeah. So that was, it's real. Her character is really interesting. She's very principled. She won't have sex with the older brother because she's got a boyfriend.
Right.
And I was like, and she senses the, yeah, the propriety of what's right and wrong.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's a good show to bring to this topic, and we're talking about it, but boy.
It's a lot.
So are you going to watch it next week?
I am. So here's the thing, like
We need closure.
I feel like I've done the work and I've worked in the field and I do public speaking where I stand in front of hundreds of middle schoolers and I tell them the person who sexually abused me for 5+ years was my older brother. So this is something I'm now comfortable with. And for better or worse, this White Lotus feels like research to me.
Okay.
It didn't flip me out. I was just like watching it going, just observing it. I don't know. I might have dissociated really when you think about it. For me to just watch it without like having a problem with, maybe I was dissociated. I don't know.
Maybe, or
But I
maybe you're
was just
just
like,
like
I,
okay to
I
see it because you're taking it from like a learning perspective.
yes. And I want to see what happens next week.
All
And
right.
somebody's gonna die because, well, I watched the I watched the preview, so I know someone's gonna die.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think I
Well,
was on
maybe
the
you'll
top
let
of a
me
gun.
know.
Are you not gonna watch?
I'm not gonna, no.
Protect your heart.
It
Yeah.
was too much for me.
Yeah.
It was
I
too
just
much.
want Piper to beat the crap out of him or just give him a come to Jesus moment or something. I don't know. But
Oh,
yeah,
oh my
yeah, we
gosh.
can do another one and I can just like
Yeah,
walk you through it.
let's get on next week and talk about the ending and
I will say
takeaways.
that there is another article that came out of the UK about White Lotus, and it features a PhD academic who works in the field, Dr. Sophie King Hill. And she weighed in on the like, is this the glorification of incest? Like, so she did a good job.
Hmm.
But I know people in the field that I have specifically reached out to and said, I think you can write if you have the ability to watch the entire season to see all the breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
the familial dynamics, I think you have the chops, the writing chops, and the interfamilial sexual abuse knowledge to handle this really well. And I know this person was saying, if I write it, I'm putting resources at the end.
Yeah.
5 waves, and there's a great organization called incestaware.org is a great website. I'm part of the Incest Aware Alliance, which
I
yeah,
wish
so
that
5 waves.
I wish that that would have been the case because then we could say, okay, well, they're not really glamorizing it. They are bringing it up so that we
Yes.
learn about it. We know what to do if it happens in our family. We know where the resources are and we know how to help people. But that hasn't happened yet. Maybe at the
Right.
end of the next episode, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
So we're
let me
gonna
know.
leave it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay. All right. It was great being with you. This is so timely. I think we need to get it out
Yes,
ASAP.
I will. I will we'll push it out
We
on the
don't even have to add the music at the beginning or ending. Let's just put
No.
it up.
We're entertaining enough, Diane.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
yeah, this was a good chat and
Yes.
we'll talk soon.
Yep.
All right,
See
thanks
you,
everybody for
everyone.
listening. Bye.